And Dr. Robert E. Kelly joins us now from Busan, South Korea. He's an associate professor at the Busan National University. Dr. Kelly, this release of Mr. Fowle is quite unusual in the sense that it didn't take a U.S. envoy to travel to North Korea to free the detainee as they've done in the past. So why and how do you think Mr. Fowle was released?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. A lot of people who sort of watch North Korea, who do what I do, we all kind of speculated that the North wanted a high-profile visit. We thought maybe Hillary Clinton or former Governor Richardson or Bill Clinton or something like that, and it didn't come through. That's what the North Koreans usually ask for. So I think many people are reading this unexpected North Korean flexibility as a sign that they want to talk to the United States, or at least thaw the very cold relations between the United States and North Korea at the moment. North Korea is extraordinarily dependent on China now, and they've been sort of running around the world in the last 6 months trying to strike up diplomatic relations with other states in order to escape that extraordinary dependence on China, and this might be part of it.
And the details on how Mr. Fowle was released or when he's coming home, it really hasn't been revealed yet. So why do you think so?
Probably because these things are really sensitive in dealing with the North Koreans, right? I mean, the North Koreans have a pretty poor record of honesty and bargaining and negotiation with us. I mean, that's why we're still talking about the nuclear weapons program, for example, 20 to 25 years later. That's why these hostage things, they come and go. If you look at the way the North Koreans have treated the issue of abductions from Japan, they've also been similarly very hard to tack down. So my guess is the U.S. government simply wants to keep this all quiet and under wraps until Mr. Fowle is home and safe. And you know, maybe this can create like momentum to get the other two Americans out. The more the U.S. government talks about it, the more the North Koreans will feel uncomfortable and might withdraw when there are two more left to get out.
Right, and this has come as a surprise to many. Now, what do you make of the timing out of it all?
It is a surprise. Like I said, I think that most people thought they were going to use these three guys as bargaining chips. I mean, the North has done this before. I would anticipate that's what they're probably trying to do with the next two. But like I said before, North Korea has become increasingly uncomfortable with its extraordinary dependence on China. And there's really nowhere else it can go. The Europeans are too far away. The Americans and Japanese and South Koreans are all very cold or hostile to North Korea at the moment. So they're really stuck. In North Korea, of course, their economy doesn't work very well, so they need to find someone else to assist them. And so if the Chinese are giving them a hard time, then you start shopping around elsewhere. And my guess is that this is sort of an oblique sign to the Americans that, hey, we want a deal or we want some kind of arrangement to soften things up a little bit.
And could this signal hope for the release of other two Americans detained by the North, with Kenneth Bae and Matthew Miller?
Yeah, I think so. It's very rare for the North Koreans to actually sit on Americans as long as they are doing now. Like I said, most people think they're angling for an envoy. They want the big photo op with an American ex-president that has a lot of prestige and sort of regime legitimacy importance for the North Koreans at home. But ultimately, my guess is they will be released. Probably there'll be some kind of deal behind the scenes. My guess is that's probably what happened here. There was probably some kind of negotiation between the Swedish embassy speaking for the Americans and the North Koreans got something. We won't know what that is for a while. But the North rarely just sort of gives stuff away. So there's probably something going on, and that's what will happen in the future, my guess is, with the other two.
And as we have reported earlier, what is also surprising is the fact that North Korea allowed U.S. plane to land in Pyongyang. Do you see that the latest development will serve as a slight opening in a hostile relationship between the U.S. and North Korea?
A little bit. I'm kind of skeptical that these sort of small little maneuvers actually mean very much. You know, every time like some Western movie maker goes to North Korea or some Western Philharmonic or something like that, we hear about how there's an opening. My own sense is that unless the North Koreans actually make a serious change on something like human rights, the prisons, or multi-party elections or something like that, the hostility will remain in place. You know, we can talk to the North Koreans, but very often things don't really go anywhere, and so we just keep talking and talking and talking. The process just rolls on and on and on. Now, if we get the other two Americans out, that's a good thing, but I don't see this as any kind of like a serious break. It is bizarre that a Pentagon plane was permitted to land in North Korea. That's pretty unprecedented. I'm not sure if that means anything, though, other than that the North Koreans didn't want to deal with this man himself.
All right, of course, we were talking about North Korea here, so a very unexpected and most isolated nations in the world. So, all right, Dr. Kelly, thank you very much for your insight today. That was Dr. Robert E. Kelly speaking to us from Busan.